Kids are napping. It's time to answer some questions from the fishbowl. Here's another question. What do I do with ongoing projects that might overlap with my due date? Okay, I love this question because a lot of business owners that I work with, they actually feel really challenged by thinking out 3 or 6 months in advance or even a year in advance. And we're told all the time, you should annually plan, you should quarterly plan. Well, why do we all feel like we're building the plane while we're flying it? It happens all the time. And the nature of having a business and a family is that you want to get intentional with how you look forward into the future, right? So when we talk about projects that might overlap with your due date, this is a really great opportunity for you to get great at forecasting and forward planning using the resources internally that you have and being able to dedicate or allocate them properly. So, a couple of ways you can do this with projects. Number one, you can figure out all the decisions that maybe you may need to make or things that you may need to do inside of the project so that you can hand it off for your team and they can take it over the finish line during maternity leave. The quickest way I typically do this in one of my workshops is called the CEO Bottleneck Map. And it's really an assessment of all the things you're doing or deciding as you're moving into maternity leave. So you just kind of front load that and it feels really nice and light and you can get things tackled. The second way is if this is a massive project. One of our clients recently is taking maternity leave during one of her biggest launches of the year. And what we did was kind of a hybrid approach. We did a lot of, deciding and doing before the launch even happened. And then after the fact, we were like, hey, why don't we actually schedule the time where she's going to be showing up live and doing things, actually inside of her community to a later date when she comes back from maternity leave. So especially if you're in a position where, you don't have a team that's supporting you, you may want to be in a position where you're asking yourself, okay, can I make some decisions or, add to the clarity around this project? Can I knock some tasks out before I go out? And then that way you don't return back to a mountain of work. But I believe that maternity leave is an opportunity to refine your operations and how you project plan. And so use this as an opportunity to actually get really good at doing this, because what's going to happen is you're going to return back into your business with an infant, and it's going to be a lot better and a lot more streamlined if you do this work a little bit early and you can kind of get a lot of your projects whiteboarded out for success in the future. Another question incoming. You guys, I'm so excited. It's like butterfly central over here. Should I tell my clients I'm taking leave or just reduce my availability quietly? This is like $1 billion question. I'm going to tell you guys the story first. Because I told my clients that Alyson, actually was her name, would be taking over as like point of contact on the account. And I remember there were just so many questions that I hadn't thought through or, really put out in advance of telling my clients. And so I think naturally they were a little bit worried. Thankfully, I had built up an immense amount of trust with them and it didn't go as, chaotically as I had imagined. And I did tell them, because I was planning on coming right back, that I'd be back into the office, within a week's time frame, which 10 out of 10 wouldn't recommend doing that. So tell your clients and do it with a fully baked plan. So what I often tell my clients inside of Master Maternity Leave is to create some certainty inside of your customer journey. So telling them, hey, listen, this is the process that I have in my expertise. Here's where you are in the process, and here's the next step you need to take. Here's how we're going to handle that while I'm out on maternity leave, whether that's a self-guided thing, whether that's, if you're a service provider of a physical service, massage therapy, therapist, psychological support in any sort of way, you can create some opportunity to either refer to a colleague who's going to take over your patients for a second, or you can create a low touch, thread with them from a conversation perspective. One of our clients is a therapist, and she created a really low lift Voxer support group to be able to stay in touch with her patients while she's on maternity leave. So things like that. Just to get creative, get certain, get clear with your clients on what the exact next step is. Most of the women that come into our programs in Master Maternity Leave and we go through the client continuity plan, they feel really confident telling their clients. They also feel like their clients feel confident in them, that they are going to stick around, that they're going to actually feel like they're getting value while mom's out on maternity leave. So definitely tell your clients, don't just not tell them and then reduce your capacity. Absolutely create a plan and definitely make sure that you give enough time and runway to actually let some of those changes fully settle in, and then you can make any tweaks that you need to make as you prepare for maternity leave. That way, you just feel so comfortable and confident, and your clients aren't even worried at all.